let me just talk for a minute about this upcoming session. And hopefully you will find something in here that warms your heart enough to instill you to get involved and do more than just talking to your spouse or your neighbor about what you don't like about what's going on, and actually do something. But among some of the most important things that we're going to be addressing this next session, have you gotten your property tax appraisal yet? Well, we have got to address the issue of property tax. We've kicked it down the road way too long now, and this is the time to do it. There are ways to do it, and I think that we'll have the will to do it. We have to secure our elections. We made a really good run at it this last time. We passed a really good bill that made it harder to cheat and easier to vote, but we left some holes in it. We've got to make some major changes. We have to have hand-marked paper ballots. We have to have watermarks and have the judge sign the back, not stamp them. They need to be sequentially numbered. And we need to have a write once memory device as the tabulator at the precinct. We have to have a single voting period. Get rid of the gap between early voting and election day, so we start on one day and end on election day. That way we can run the zero tapes just before the polls open, and then we run the tally tapes immediately after the polls are closed, and we know exactly what was in that machine or on that card before it left the precinct, and we will have the hard copy of the paper ballots there for validation. A tremendous leap up. And I will just say this, that if we do that, all of the talk about what goes on with the computers and the air transmission of data from the county up to the state or wherever almost becomes irrelevant, because we will have a hard copy, verifiable, documented what took place in that precinct. We also need to limit mail-in ballots. If you're out of the state during the entire election period, you ought to be able to get a mail-in ballot. If you're in the military, you need to be able to get a military ballot. If you're disabled, you need to be able to get a mail-in ballot. Just because you turn 65 is no reason to get a mail-in ballot. If you can go to Walmart, you can go to the polling places. So we need to get rid of the over 65. Keep it to what is only needed. We need to protect our electrical grid system. We have not done anything of meaningful effort to protect our electrical grid system. It is extremely vulnerable. It is extremely vulnerable to terrorist attack, and it's extremely vulnerable to God's nature, summer and winter. And we have got to do something to fix that. We have to limit executive powers. No longer do we need to have one person running a state for almost 3 years now going on. We need to rein in the governor's role. Once the emergency is declared, the legislation comes back into action, and the legislature should be held responsible for making the rules on how we operate, not one individual. And we need 2 Bill of Rights. We need one for parents to make it crystal clear who's in charge of their education. And we need one for medical patients, so that when you go to a hospital, the doctors in the hospital understand that you're not there because you want to be, you're there because you have to be. And as a result, they need to stop taking advantage of you under those circumstances like we experienced for the last year. And I'll say it once again, with what has been going on, the medical community has just about ruined itself in terms of trustworthiness. And over the past year with COVID, I think history is going to show that there were far more people died in our hospitals because of hospital policies than people who died of the COVID in there. So, and we have to pass protection against stop gender mutilation, surgeries, and drugs for minors. Now, those are just some of them. If your favorite bill wasn't in the list, that's okay. But we need to get those passed. And what we have to do is we have to start taking up more action to stop the liberal left. We cannot let the liberal, socialist, communist, Democrats on the left with their radical programs of global climate change, green energy, critical race theory, equity, inclusion, diversity, 1619 Project, transgender mutilation, victimology, identity politics, same-sex marriages, woke ideologies, guaranteed incomes, free everything for everybody, and tax and spend policies destroy our state and our country. Texas is the last bastion of freedom. If Texas fails, America fails. And where are we going to go if Texas fails? Chicago? California? I don't think so. But it's time. It's time to stand up, to speak up, and to act up. Because I promise you, I will never quit. I'd rather die on my feet fighting for liberty than to live on my knees begging the government for my God-given liberties. Because I promise you, I will not back up, back down, or backslide. I will stand and fight for the principles of liberty for all, and with every fiber of my body and the marrow of my bones until the last warm breath leaves my cold, stiff body, so help me God. And I invite you to join me in that fight. Thank you for being here, and God bless Texas, God bless America, and God bless you.
Big round of applause for Senator Bob Hall, everybody.